Hello, everybody, and welcome to the May 2nd, 2024 meeting of the KubeStellar community. We are an open source community working on challenges in multi-cluster orchestration, delivery, and delivery of workloads and configuration of the same. And we are part of the open community, the CNCF community. Specifically, we have sandbox status, and as such, we abide by a contributor code of conduct. I'll go ahead and read that. As contributors and maintainers in the CNCF community and in the interest of fostering an open and welcoming community, we pledge to respect all those people who contribute through reporting issues, posting feature requests, updating documentation, submitting pull requests or patches, and other activities. We're committed to making participation in the CNCF community a harassment-free experience for everyone, regardless of the level of experience, gender identity and expression, sexual orientation, disability, personal appearance, body size, race, ethnicity, age, religion, or nationality. Basically, that just means be nice to each other. Thank you all for attending today. If you're attending via phone, you don't have to worry about this, but if you're attending via video, please turn off your video if you do not wish to be recorded. Meeting is recorded and will be posted to our YouTube channel at kubestellar.io/TV. It's our dedicated YouTube channel. Today we have some updates on a new release that's working its way through our workflow. And so we'll have some updates on that. I'll give some updates about the summer in terms of our interns for open source activity, as well as some updates on KubeCon, OSS, Open Source Summit, and KubeCon Days. I've submitted some talks there, so just wanted to see if anybody else has any interest in putting those any more out there. So let's get started. Yeah, please add your name to the attendees list if you wish to, and you can find the agenda. If you're having trouble joining or seeing this agenda, go to kubestellar.io/join us. Either join underscore us or join us as one word, and you'll be prompted to join our mailing list. You will then summarily get updates about our upcoming meetings, our bi-weekly meetings, as well as access to this note, this Google Doc, and then you can make edits to it. To find this document, you go to kubestellar.io/agenda. All right, so thank you everybody for joining today. We'll get started. Just some updates for me on interns for open source. I've got some folks from Georgia Tech and Valencia onboarding this summer. It's approximately 2 weeks away. They'll be here for 10 weeks. I've planned to have them focused on things surrounding installation, specifically on different platforms with different configurations, blowing things away, starting them over, starting with dirty machines and dirty clusters, things like that. And so the hope is that once they're done for the summer, they will have gotten quite an education on what it's like to work with Kubernetes, specifically with KubeStellar, as well as how to open issues and work PRs. I would hope that they would be contributing to both the documentation that's on our website as well as maybe the mechanics of our installation. I think that Franco's been working primarily on the Uber Helm, and we'll get to that status in just a minute. But for the most part, I can see some interaction. I can see some interaction coming with him as to how to make things easier. I think customers and clients alike, anybody who's just walking past the KubeStellar pane of glass on the internet, are seeing that they have some interest potentially, but I think there's the one thing about open source that I've found interesting is that when people have problems with installation, you typically don't get a second chance because they feel that it's too far off in the future as to when their specific issue will be addressed. And B, they kind of feel inferior because our site kind of comes off looking professional and looks like we have our stuff together. But what project would have an installation that would have issues if it had its stuff to, if it had its ducks in a row? So I think we really kind of have to up our installation game and get to the point where people can interact with our project more from less from an installation standpoint logistically and more from interacting with the architecture and making enhancements and suggestions to the same effect for what we're working on and who we're competing with in our industry. So that's the general gist of it. I'm also working with Marist on developing courseware for Kubernetes, as well as cloud, and maybe might even have some outcomes from that in the fall. So I'm hoping to keep a regular tab on all three of these and expand that. As an aside, just adding on onto IFOS is I've also submitted a talk to what's called, depending on when you visit the site, you'll see either KCD or KDC. It's the merger of Kubernetes and DevOps, the DevOps community, and that's being held in Washington, D.C. in late September. I put in a talk there to talk about blue, green, and Canary deployments using KubeStellar. I also put a talk into OSS for the Argo Workflows, and I'm planning on putting a talk together, the Argo Workflow works that Paolo's been primarily working on. And I've also putting together a talk. I'm trying to get a panel going for a talk in KubeCon North America in Salt Lake City in November to talk about the IFOS interns for open source, as well as a talk on Argo Workflows. The deadlines for OSS and KCD are fast approaching, so I've already got those in place. I've mentioned them out on our KubeStellar public channel. The two that I plan on inserting for KubeCon North America I believe they're mid-June or early June is when that deadline comes about, so that there's really no major rush, but we'll remember to do that in late May, maybe. I'm still trying to organize the panel logistics. And so that's what I have for you. Also we have a KubeDay in Japan where we're trying to work with the PipeCD folks to come up with a demonstration. KubeStellar and PipeCD can work together. Yana will be our point person for that and attend the conference, as well as there's a representative from PipeCD who will also Fujiwo. Yeah, I think I'm saying the name right, Fujiwo. And so they have a break right now, a rare vacation for the folks in Japan. They'll be back online in May 7th, so in about 5 days. So we'll continue to work with them at that point. Okay, so any questions for me on IFOS or KubeDay or KubeDevOps or OSS or KubeCon? Okay, we're also doing, there's also a paper that's working its way through approvals, or actually we're still doing some drafting of it on digital agriculture. It's called Ursula. Keep your ears and eyes peeled for that. That's that's a continuation of the work that we've been doing at Cornell University on software-defined farming. Yeah, okay. So that's about does it for that. So next up, let's turn our attention to updates on KubeStellar development. I think we've got, just as a preview, we've got some work that's been completed on parameter expansion and customization of WEC oblivious transformation. So things like job suspension that is necessary for our integration with Argo Workflows and KFP. And 0.22.0, or maybe something later than that, is currently available in release candidate format. Is there any can you give us any updates on that, Mike or Paul? Sorry, Mike or Ezra?
Before I will let Mike update, but I think just for the sake of the list, I think that both the parameter expansion and the transformation are under 0.22. They are going to be released as part of 0.22. And yeah, and this one, the customization, and those one are actually the two are the same. I think custom WEC oblivious transformation is the transformation. This is what we are doing. I think so.
It's template expansion, and I think WEC independent, right, is the point here, right? These you've got WEC dependent and WEC independent transformations.
No, just change the dependent to the yeah, exactly.
No, Andy, I'm sorry. Let me try again. Okay.
Mike, just instruct. We don't need to go through it.
Here, exactly
Is that it,
this
right?
one.
Okay.
That's okay.
Thank you. Yep. All right. Just go ahead. Anything you want to expand on in this section? Mike or Ezra, or add to this section?
Mike, do you remember any other important feature we are releasing in 0.22?
Yes, if you look at the release notes, there are a few more things mentioned there. I think the next thing is the Helm chart work, which I think is to come after 0.22.0 at least. Well, yeah, after 0.22, I think the next big thing is the Helm chart work. We've done some preparatory work, but the real pay dirt, the real delivery, the real payoff is coming for the next release, next minor release. And let's see. So, Andy, if you want to try and navigate to the release notes, yes, I'll tell you to do that. Go back to the code in main and go to Documents, Docs, Content Direct.
But I think that Andy is correct. That
And release notes. No, you're missing it. Go back to file list. Look at the release notes file.
Right, but I think Andy is correct, and this should appear also.
So there's the list.
This should appear, Mike. This should appear also on the release notes on the release itself, where
Fine.
Andy clicked
Agreed.
before.
Okay, we'll take care of that. Okay. So there's a few things listed there.
Yeah, you can add a link to this, Andy, in the agenda.
Yeah, Franco.
Quick question. So since you list the multiple ITS, do you have an example on how that is achieved, especially for the post-create hook usage?
I think the documentation of that is incomplete. There is actually doc work to be done there. I don't remember exactly what's. So yes, I think the examples, we don't have examples of that. So yeah, there's work to be done.
So when that happens, please let me know, because I may have to adjust.
Very good. Okay.
All right, that's a good segue, I guess. So, is there anything more you want to add, Ezra or Mike? Do we have any future statements about what's coming in 23? I'm sorry, Ezra, did you want to go?
No, I said no. I don't have anything.
Okay. Did you have anything you want to talk about in future statements? Talking about what might be 23?
I think we defined some what we call major features, but we still haven't done a discussion on deciding. So if you go, I think you can see the feature. There are some major features. I'm not sure that we actually agreed on what are the main things for the next release.
In my opinion, I think the next big thing to do is finish the Helm chart work. I think once we do that, we should cut 0.23.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was talking in terms of the KubeStellar feature. I don't.
That's a feature. It's making it easier to install.
Yeah, I agree. So we have that. We have some.
And I think it kind of in the same vein. I really, I think we have a lot of dissatisfaction. I at least am very dissatisfied right now with a little bit more broadly our installation procedure, our documentation about it, the scripts, the examples. Right now, the way we treat different environments is like they're completely different, and they're not completely different. There's underlying unity that's not expressed. We're not making it obvious how people can do it in anything other than the very concrete things that we regularly test, which is just one thing right now on kind. Right? If someone wants to use it on infrastructure, anything other than provided by kind, we don't have maintained documentation for how to do that. We're trying to get to the point of OCP, which itself is a challenge in terms of infrastructure. But still, if we only have documentation that tells people how to use KubeStellar on kind or OCP, we're, I think, missing an important boat here. So I would really like to, I think, take a big whack at that, and the Helm chart stuff. And there is, I guess, also, Kevin has volunteered to take a look at the website overall. I don't know how much, to expect from that in terms of when to expect results from that. I think that's another big can of worms. I wouldn't necessarily couple it and demand that it fit in 0.23, but that is, I think, another thing to do.
Yeah, that's what I want the interns to focus on. Yeah,
yes, one point regarding that, and it's related to the intern as well. I do think it is dependent because I fully agree with Mike, and I think this is one of the main items we should focus on the next release. However, I think it would be better to, if there are overall things in the website that need to be revised, that's fine, but it would be better. There are also things that, for example, we do not like how the examples are written there or the environment and so on. And this is dependent on what Mike just said. We want to maybe rewrite and redesign on how we tell users to install KubeStellar, right? What is the procedure? What is common between platforms? What is the piece which is not common? And it would be better to update the website related to those things only after we first agree on what we need to do there. So once again, there are general website items, but everything that is related to how we install, what are the examples, so on, we probably should focus on that on the coming release after 0.22.
yeah. I mean, you have small footprint, constrained devices like the ones that Kevin advocates for, but you've also got AWS, GCP, and Azure.
Exactly.
I've done some work on AWS, but there's lots of nuances for GCP and Azure, and so we have to look at local platforms, but we also have to look at local platforms for developers. So yeah, I mean the whole mixed bag. Plus, there's lots of times that people do things that we don't intend them to.
Right.
The typing on a keyboard is error prone, and mistyping a letter in the name and a namespace or a workspace is really bad right now.
Right. And one of the main points that Mike mentioned is that we really do not want to have, for each such environment, to have a detailed procedure from scratch till the end for each of them, right? If we have some common thing, we want it to be common, right, and explain them. Yeah.
All right. So we got a work cut out for us, but just like any maturing project, this is expected. So it's good stuff. The good news about installation and instructions and things on websites is, from my experience has been, is that people don't feel intimidated to contribute that way, outsiders. So one of the other goals I want to have from the IFOS folks is for them to create, good first issues that are really good first issues. So, I want to try and soften the edges around the project this summer, if at all possible. It has to do with installation. It has to do with wording on our website. It has to do with looking more inviting for folks from the outside. So that's more or less the theme of the summer program. And hopefully that dovetails into other activities that you might be working on as well. All right. Let's see what else we got. Frankly, you want to give us any update you got on Uberhelm?
Sure, briefly.
Drive to the train station, Uberhelm.
So as Mike pointed out, there is some work in the background on updating some charts. Specifically, we work on the status add-on chart and the transport chart. Those were updated to include some waiting and checks to make sure that the dependency were installed before this chart can run without failure. I am currently working on updating the KubeStellar and OCM post-create hooks. You can see that work in the current PR 2086 in KubeStellar. The work there is to include the installation on the status add-on chart along with the OCM chart installation, as well as to include the OTP, the transport plugin installation, along with the KubeStellar plugin installation. And the aim is to remove 2 steps in the current instruction of the common setup process, where we require to install OCM and then install the status add-on. So that is combined now in one single operation. You can see it in the documentation, actually. In the example.md, you can see that a lot of stuff, the operation of installing the status add-on is now included in the creation of the control plane, and the operation of installing the M chart for the OTP is now included in the operation of creating a WDS1. So this removes two steps. I think we decided to postpone this to the next release, not to merge this until the next release. Once this is completed, I'm not waiting for it, but in parallel now, I'm working on developing the hub chart. I call it hub chart, not Uber chart. But the purpose of that would be to do all these steps in the common setup, except the registration, obviously, of the WEX into a single chart with values that one can define. So, for example, one can list post-create hooks that it wants to have available. One can list a series of control planes with specific, type and post-create hooks that wants to create. One or more ITS, one or more WDS, or whatever other control planes you like to deploy. That's at least my current aim for the next step of the work.
Great. This all sounds great. I mean, I like that you're eliminating steps. That's really a positive direction. Okay. Any questions for Franco? All right. All right. I see Mike.
Yeah, hot off the presses. Something went wrong with Prow checking Braulio's PR. A bunch of steps timed out after waiting an hour for pod scheduling. I don't know who to contact about this. It seems like a bit of an infrastructure. Yeah.
Yeah, we can take it offline. They might be making changes there. I know who to contact.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. See Braulio and Paolo on the line. Anybody have anything else they'd like to add to the call today?
Yeah, I may add, as you mentioned, been working on the integration of KubeStellar with a new feature that we're gonna release in the release 0.22 for working with first of all enabling Argo Workflows to run in multi-cluster mode. We already have some POC running with that, and we're gonna probably share this maybe in the next community call. We can do a quick demo of that. And the second step is once we have that demonstrated, that we're gonna also show how we can use the same base technology to deal with Kubeflow pipeline in a multi-cluster mode. I think that's also a very interesting, exciting direction. And the idea was to start showing some of the steps, how we somehow got there, and demo this in our community calls. Maybe even write a couple of blogs about this. Maybe people can even try it themselves with a new release.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Thank you for that. I think this is going to be a really big hit with the community. I'm just showing them the promise of what KubeStellar can do. So I'm glad you're working on it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Let's see. All right. Yeah. So we'll pencil you in for next time. We got May 16th. Oh, and by the way, this weekend, May the 4th, big Star Wars for Star Wars fans that are out there, and also KubeStellar as part of the interstellar and intergalactic community would like to say enjoy your May 4th this year on our behalf. Braulio, Kevin, anything you'd like to add to the call?
Yes. So for KubeStellar, we have conducted in the past some stress test experiment and some SOX test experiment. And now I'm focusing designing the test to test this scalability of KubeStellar. So having a large number of clusters and the focus on stress test the control plane. I have done some preliminary work with the how to simulate a large-scale environment. I have instrumented with the two quarks. It's just a Kubernetes without kubelets to simulate a large number of nodes for a cluster. And I'm now writing just a small proposal report. I'm gonna be sharing with the team how I would like to scale the KubeStellar control plane and which important parameters we would like to focus on. And I have the goal to share this report with team today. So I was planning to share yesterday, but I got a little bit sidetracked with some issues with the OCP test. But we have I'll share with the team today for feedback.
Yeah, one of the good things about the outcomes of what you're working on, Braulio, is also that you've got instrumentation that's being baked into KubeStellar now. I saw the issue on pprof, and I'm hoping there's endpoints for us to get monitoring included with things like Loki, Prometheus, so we can show information on common operations, graph tooling, and such the like Grafana. So it's good work there. I think eventually when folks are operating KubeStellar in enterprises, they're going to need that type of instrumentation. So to have it looked at and considered at this point in this stage in the project is very good. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And the goal is also to have a report that that we can post in maybe in our channels, so show how scalable KubeStellar is, and maybe also provide some best practice guideline how the community can be using KubeStellar at scale.
That's great. Thank you, Braulio, for your contribution.
Thanks, thank you.
All right, last up, Kevin. Anything you want to add?
No, as has been mentioned, the website redesign is a big job, and I made the mistake of diving into the files, and I'm going to back off from that and actually map out how we should organize information, and then I will let you all figure out how the files actually work. But
yeah, that's actually I think it's a better approach.
Yeah, so I will work on the semantic map first, so that it makes sense.
Cool. All right, yeah, and feel free to jot down notes. We'll have people, like I said, interning with us this summer, so in 2 weeks' time. So feel free to give some ideas or thoughts around how we might spread out and cover more ground.
Yeah, there is one change independent of any other organization, which I think is important, which is that our landing page menu is different from every other page, and it should not be. I actually looked at some other projects, and they actually maintain one menu structure all the way through. So that's, I think, on you, because I think you built that landing page.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Anything? I think, yeah, everything sounds great from my perspective, seeing how everything's moving along. Sure, we've got some fits and issues that we've got to work out, but I think everybody's addressing the right things. So looks great. Okay. All right. If without any further ado, Paolo will queue you up for 2 weeks from now on May 16th. And for everybody else, we'll see you again in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you.